Janette of Accurate Body Language, and usually I analyze the body language and deception detection of other people, but today I'm going to analyze myself and point out things that you could be looking at when you are interacting with other people. Here is a 4-minute clip that I did about relationships. So as you see the beginning of this video, I'm looking straight up at the audience. That is my home eye gaze. So when you're doing videos, you need to look at the camera, because when you look at the camera, you're looking at the audience. So look at the audience. They're listening to you, so look at them. Boss, have you ever been? Okay, immediately I say boss to get your attention. And notice my fingers extended. That is called a digital extension. When you see digital extensions like this, that means the person is feeling comfort, agreement, relaxation, confidence, and they're making a point. So when I said boss, my fingers went out in sync with my verbal. And you notice I have a head tilt to our right, the viewer's right. That is a friendship tilt. So when you're engaging with people that you want to build rapport, want to tilt your head, nod, smile, and have good eye gaze. Let's continue. Relationship where it didn't work out, thinking back throughout your entire life. Now look at my hand. I'm right-handed, so I'm gesturing with my right hand, and it's an open palm, which shows openness and a gesture of non-threatening context. I'm open and welcoming to you. Notice how I go into the audience. I'm leaning into you. So when we like somebody or when we're trying to build rapport and connection, we lean in. So my content is about relationships. Notice when I'm leaning in and when I move back. You see my right hand is being illustrative. My fingers are still extended. I'm leaning in. I have good eye contact with you. Oh, by the way, I'm all natural. No stitch of makeup there. And thank you, David, for my rockin' haircut. How'd they work? How'd they work? Notice I did a quick shoulder shrug, and both of my shoulders shrugged at the same time, which means they're symmetrical. The other thing to notice is when you're engaging with people, notice what they are wearing. Notice what they're wearing. And what am I wearing? I am wearing a t-shirt with tigers. When people wear something or when they have tattoos, it's significant. And for me, I love wild tigers and actually wild animals all over. How'd they turn out? How'd they turn out? Notice how I go a little bit back. I distance myself a little bit back. My fingers are extended, called digital extensions, and they show comfort, agreement, relaxation, and confidence. Breakup? Notice how I come closer to you. Ever have a breakup? And I tilt my head, showing you that I'm still in the friendship, connection, friend mode, all right? And I'm tilting my head because I'm curious. Ever have a breakup? How did it go? How did it go? Was it painful? Notice I distance back when I'm talking about painful. And notice right here, I stopped with my eyes closed. Painful, the word painful. So that's called an eye block. The pain is so great that we have to shut out the stimuli, okay? So notice when you're interacting with somebody and you're telling them about your business, notice their blink rate. If you see an increase in blink rate, something that you're talking about or something happening in that very moment is not registering well for that person. It's causing that person some kind of discomfort, all right? But if they hold your eye gaze, and if their pupils, I mentioned this the other day, if their pupils are enlarging when they're talking to you, they're engaged and something is very appealing about what you're talking about, or you may be appealing. So watch the blink rate and the pupil size. Now us brown-eyed people, our eyes are so dark that sometimes you won't be able to see the pupils. But for light-colored, blue-eyed, green-eyed, hazel-eyed people, you can easily see their pupils, okay? So far we've covered a lot about my body language. Did you know all of this? Did you know all of this in the few seconds that we've covered so far? If not, you're missing out on the clues that can be benefiting you when you're interacting with clients, potential clients, your family members, and your partners. hurt like hell? And I look straight at you. And there's a little tongue thrust there. Did it hurt like hell? Okay? Because hell is very painful. So the tongue is throwing out a little to emphasize the pain. What did you learn from those relationships? I want to know, what did you learn from those relationships? So many people don't take the time to learn from the relationships. And when you don't, guess what? They repeat. So notice I am looking straight up at you because this is important. That's the key. And I use my finger. That's the key on my prominent, dominant hand. And the bounce of the finger is in sync with the words. If any of this information is new to you, you need to contact me so we can get you empowered to catch all of these clues in the moment, in the heat of the moment, when you're engaging with others. You know, in life... Now, I slapped my thigh because this was important. You know, in life, whatever relationships we have, what did we learn during and after the relationship? Now, you see that both hands are illustrating my dominant right hand as well as my left hand, because this is an important point in my conversation. So I'm using both hands to illustrate in sync with my words. Y'all be, normally I say feet first, but you can't see my feet, so hands second. You need to know what the hands and the fingers are doing and where they are placed at every single minute and second and moment of the conversation. I'm still holding my eye gaze because I want you guys to get to the truth. Especially after a breakup, because if you didn't learn anything and if you didn't do anything to change the situation inside. Notice how I said inside. I point to my chest. Inside. Women tend to touch our chest more often than men, but it illustrates, my right hand illustrates with my extended fingers. They're not curled, they're extended inside. And I think I almost touched or did touch my chest. All of these gestures are vitally important for you to understand the genuine message and how you can navigate through the dialogue. By looking at yourself inside. Okay, and I do the double power thumbs by looking at yourself inside. I point to myself. So you see how both of my hands are illustrating the point. If you had the volume off, you could still get the gist of what I'm talking about and how important it is by looking at my fingers and hands. And looking at your self-accept. Now look, my hand slapped the other hand, self-sabotaging, and I start to choke here. Sabotaging patterns. And my breath, self-sabotaging patterns. Because that's painful. When you see friends and loved ones and yourself not learning from self-sabotaging patterns, oh my God. Oh my God. You're set to repeat what you didn't learn, and the lesson will repeat. There's my index finger again. Very important. Notice when people use their index finger, often if it's pointing at you, that's not a good thing, okay? Because that means somebody's angry at you or making a point of discomfort about the topic. But here I'm illustrating the importance of the topic because I'm not pointing my index finger at you, but up in the air, which is a confident. When it's gravity-defying fingers, it's confident or power pose. Here, for you to learn or not learn. So learn or not learn. Things in. Okay, in my fingers, I illustrate the 3 points digitally by putting up 3 fingers. And as a presenter, you want to use your fingers. My first point is, my second point is, my third point is, if you are a presenter on stage. that influences the success or failure. Okay, notice how I emphasize the word failure. Okay, my eyes opened up to the highest point, right? Really opened up, and my fingers went out, and I emphasized failure with full eye gaze and expanded fingers. Of the relationship, number one. Okay, because I used my thumb, British people may be using their thumbs as number one, but I corrected myself by putting my right index finger up to illustrate number one, because I wanted number two to be the next finger and number three to be the next finger. Communication. It's all about communication, baby. Notice how I go towards you when I emphasize the word baby, because I want you to get it. So I go towards you and emphasize it with a fun word, baby. It's all about communication. And both of my hands are open so that you believe me and find me credible. And if you are not communicating. Now notice I didn't point to you when I said if you are not communicating. I use a slightly curved chop. You are not telling your partner how you're feeling. Throughout this entire video, I'm proud of myself because my fingers are extended with open palms. And what you want and how it's going, and you remain silent. And notice how I pause at the word and you remain silent for extra emphasis. You don't show your and my hands are air chopping in sync with my words. Partner, how they are. I'm stumbling a little bit here. They need you in your life, and you don't make them a high priority. Guess what? It ain't gonna work out. I shake my head no when I say it ain't gonna work out, which is congruent. So when you're talking to someone and they say they're fine, but their head is nodding no, then that's incongruent. But I shook my head no, and as I said, it ain't going to work out. It ain't going to work out, and you can kiss half of your finance. I snap because that is a major point. Guess what? Half of us get divorced. So when you don't have the skills, guess what? You can kiss half of your finances goodbye. That says goodbye, especially if you're married. Okay? So communication is number one. So I tilt my head the other way because my hair was getting into my eyes and I didn't want to use my fingers to correct my hair from my eyes. So I tilted my head the other way. The second one, notice, here's very important. I'm trying to remember what my second point is, and my eye gaze is going to our upper right. All right? So that is credible because I am accessing memories, what my second point is, and I'm going to our viewer's upper right. So when you're interacting with other people, you want to notice their eye gaze when you ask them about something in the past. And then you want to do that a couple times to confirm that they're looking in the right direction when they're accessing past memories. And then when you hit them with a trigger question like, where were you last night? You want to see if their eye gaze is going in the same direction as the baseline questions or in the opposite direction. And if it's going in the opposite direction, why the hell is it going in the opposite direction? Because that is a hot spot. One is connection. When you communicate in a meaningful level with importance, then you develop a greater connection, especially if you align your core values and what's important to you. So all throughout this video, I'm looking at you in the audience using in-sync illustrative body language and hand gestures, dominant with my right hand, but when it's really important, I'm using both forearms, hands, and fingers And throughout the entire video, my fingers are extended, not curled. If they are curled or hidden, that's a tell. That's a tell that the person is uncomfortable and uneasy about what is happening. Together. Core values and meaningful activities together, then you have connection. All right? So communication. And connection. And number 3, conflict. Notice how I looked back at our upper right to remember what my third point was. So I'm consistent in my accessing of memories by looking to our upper right. Resolution, because you're two different people. You're going to see the world differently because you have your individual experiences, okay? So communication, what did I say? Communication, connection, and conflict resolution. Notice my blink rate increased a little bit because I was stumbling to remember what my 3 points were, okay? So I closed my eyes to focus on what I needed to remember because opening my eyes would have been too much stimuli. So when you see somebody closing their eyes for a prolonged amount of time, than a normal fraction of a second blink rate, know what the content is and consider what may be contributing to their prolonged eye block. If you do not know, now notice how I'm really emphasizing this point. If by slowing my speech pattern down, if you do not know conflict resolution, that I'm emphasizing every single word about if you do not know conflict resolution, then you're screwed. How to manage through and resolve conflict, you're screwed. You are screwed because you ain't got the skills to manage it through. So take conflict resolution. Notice how my eyes really opened up when I said take conflict resolution skills. Resolution classes. My friend Joyce Weiss can help you with that. Okay, and I recommend Joyce Weiss, who specializes in conflict resolution. Connect with Joyce Weiss to make sure that you get your message across in the most effective manner possible with your desired outcomes. Hook up with Joyce Weiss, look her up on LinkedIn, baby, because the amount of time and effort and finances that you pay to resolve your conflicts and know how to communicate, you set yourself up for success. And if you don't do that, it's going to cost you more than what the course or program is costing you. You can't afford not to learn about conflict resolution. You can't afford not to learn about conflict resolution, body language, detecting deception, and improving your communication skills. So overall, that was my main message. And you see how I consistently followed through the 4-minute video with body language that was congruent with my verbal message. So I hope you got a lot out of this. Put down in the comments what you thought of all of this. And what did you catch and what did you miss? From head to toes, the body always shows the truth. Connect with Janette Ghedotte of Active Body Language so that you can discover the skills that you need to get to the truth. Spot the lies, get to the truth, and avoid costly mistakes. From head to toes, the body always shows the truth.